Hey, welcome to Resilience is a Muscle, from setbacks to comebacks. I'm your host, Laurie. And this is the podcast where we get real about what it actually takes to recalibrate forward, show up, and keep going. Every episode, I'm sharing something that helps you build the reps to grow stronger. Let's get into it. Today's episode is going to tackle a really challenging, big question out there today. And that is really, will I have a job, right? It's a question that a lot of folks are asking. And we'll break it down with resilience, what resilience looks like in a rapidly shifting economy, and how AI is changing the roles and skills, and what leaders and professionals can do to prepare for the future of work. Our guest today is Drew Burdick. Hi, Drew.
Hey.
Founder of StealthX, a Charlotte-based product studio known for building fast, AI-native customer and employee experiences. He also hosts the Building Great Experience podcast and runs Product Jam with Innovate Charlotte, which I love Innovate Charlotte, where he early stage teams pressure test ideas in a single day. Drew's currently hiring AI forward engineers. We're going to talk a little about what that means. And so he has a front row seat to how jobs are changing and what real world skills matter now. So we're going to start this conversation off with, if you were to think about resilience in your world, in your life, personally and professionally, how would you define that for you?
That's a really good question. And first of all, just thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Super excited for the conversation. So I like to tell stories. So I'll kind of rewind the clock about 15 years ago. And I had started a different company. And in my mind at that time, was all about, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to do everything as much as I can. And it was go all the time. And it was very much a kind of, I didn't realize it this then, but it was very much I'm going to run as hard as I can and hopefully get there, right? And it wasn't thinking about life as like a marathon. It was really more of a sprint. And essentially, a couple years later, I realized, I was like, oh, this isn't sustainable. I'm going to burn out. And so I ended up, and I'm a father of two. My daughter was born in 2013, and it was kind of one of those periods of time where I'm like, all right, what really matters to me? Like, what's really important? And it was family and friends and people. And so I kind of made the decision to go work in corporate for a while, because I needed to kind of reset and recalibrate my mindset. Now, I started StealthX 18 months ago. I have a very different attitude about work and about just how I kind of get stuff done. And it's much more about the long view, and how do you do things sustainably over time. And so, that resilience mindset that you're kind of speaking to it was through hard knocks. I kind of tripped and fell, ate some asphalt, and said, I didn't feel very good. I don't want to do that anymore. So that's my personal, view.
So let me ask you this. Who in your life has modeled resilience for you?
That's a great question.
And it can't be a movie star or somebody like that.
Yeah, it's for sure. So I have several mentors in my life that have demonstrated what it looks like to fail well. One of them is my father-in-law. He ran a general contracting business for about 40 some odd years. He's retired now and so on. But there was a period of time in '08, if you recall, the economy was pretty bad, and they pretty much lost everything.
Oh, wow.
And I had a front row seat to kind of watching
Play
that.
out.
Yeah. And to see them be resilient and, pick themselves up. They had to change their lifestyle. They had to kind of adapt and evolve to the landscape in '08, and then now seeing them come through all of that, and they've honestly in an even much better position than they were, in '08. So that's a really, that's one example. Friends and colleagues of mine that I've worked with over the years, that have really proven this attitude of, I don't know, but I'll figure it out, which, funny enough, is actually one of our guiding principles or core values at StealthX. We're big on, hey, it's okay to not know the answer. Like, let's have a figure it out mindset, and it's okay to fail. Like, failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a good thing because it means you're learning, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are two examples.
Those are great stories. I love the father-in-law story because, seeing somebody rebuild and come back stronger is really a great example of resilience, right? That they didn't let that knock them down. in my book, I share a lot of stories from my own life, and my mom was a big person who really modeled resilience. My father committed suicide when I was 5,
Mm,
and going through something like that traumatic for her, and she just really wasn't emotionally available for us as kids, right?
yeah,
Unfortunately. But still she was there and she really moved forward. She could have, I saw look at so many people who, would just either just fall apart and crumble, right? And
yeah,
let it consume you.
yeah,
And those who are resilient and understand that, life is challenging, it throws you curveballs and you got to figure out how to move forward.
yeah. I have I'm big on stories, so I have another
Cool.
little one.
Sure.
So I grew up on the other side of the world in the Philippines, which
Okay.
is a bit of an unusual,
I have a friend from the
atypical.
Philippines that grew up
Really?
there too. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool.
She's here in Mooresville.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of us. That's
No,
cool.
it's not.
Small. um, but anyway, we my folks occasionally we come back to the U.S. and when I was in third grade and I was in seventh grade, we came back to the States and we traveled around. We lived in a motorhome, like an RV,
Oh, yeah. Know that
and
well.
yeah, it was like as a 8-year old and a 13-year-old, right? You're moving around all the time. You are constantly making new friends, and my parents did a really great job of modeling like how to adapt and be flexible
Yeah.
in any environment, any situation. And that was something that very much like stuck with me from that point
Yeah.
on because it was like, well, hey, I can meet with anybody, I can talk to anybody, like they're just people, right? You
Yeah.
don't sometimes you get a little scared over like new situation, new environment, new people that you got to talk
Yep.
to, and the ability to kind of like mentally talk through and like not be anxious about it. Like, it's gonna be
Well,
okay.
it's
Like,
self-talk, right? It's
yeah,
really about reflecting on what you're thinking and the story your brain's telling yourself, right?
yeah, right,
And then how do you change that story,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's really reframing the conversation in your head.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool. Love it. Great story. All right, let's talk about work a little bit here.
Okay. Let's do it.
We're going to AI. This is your thing, right?
Yeah. Right.
AI is your world. My world too. So we're going to have some great conversations around
Yeah.
this. So what's the most misunderstood thing about AI in the workforce right now? And what do you think people will realize too late?
Man, good question. So, for context, for those who are listening, we work primarily with mid-sized companies and helping them figure out how to leverage AI, right?
Yeah.
And so, all day, every day, I'm talking to leaders from mid-market companies and helping them think through like these types of questions. And just this morning, had a meeting with a client and had to kind of like guide them through this thinking experiment. The thought experiment was like, hey, to get from like 0 to 80% is actually not that hard anymore. Like in this specific case, we're like building kind of an AI powered solution, and it's really not that hard to get to 80%. The last 20% is extremely hard,
Yeah, I agree.
and like most leaders don't have an appreciation yet for that. So they're like, oh, like AI is fast and easy. We'll do these things and
You
whatever.
got here already. Why can't
Yeah,
you get
like do the
there?
next thing, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
this is really
Yeah.
hard. Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the metaphor I use a lot is, imagine you took a kid fresh out of college, right? Skilled, capable, talented, but they don't have any experience
Yeah.
and they don't have any context. And you're like, you give them a wide, hey, go do this stuff. They're going to come back. They're going to do something, but it might not be what you thought. It may not be a good job, and it might actually make a mess in the process. And you have to spend the time and
Yeah.
energy to like teach them, coach them, train them. And the same is true with
Nurture
AI.
them. Yeah. It's all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to think about it in when we kind of help people shift their mental model from like AI is this sort of genie in a bottle that I just sort of ask questions and it figures it out. Like we're not to true artificial intelligence or what's called like AGI, artificial general intelligence, yet. Like it's still not. It's like a nascent thing that it's exponentially getting better. But that last 20% is extremely difficult because there's a lot of just like stuff under the hood that has to happen in order for it to work the way that people assume that it can work.
Yeah, yeah, and leaders need to get their heads wrapped around that, right?
Yeah.
So how do you have that conversation with them? What's that look like?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the biggest thing is like helping people realize like how low maturity they are. A lot of organizations, they're like, all right, we want to do AI stuff. And right now we're staring down the barrel of 2026, right? It's around the corner. Many companies are starting to figure out like, oh no, we haven't done anything.
Yeah,
Or they're like, we have Chat GPT or we have, Claude or whatever.
we're
Like,
using AI.
yeah, yeah, like we're far ahead,
Yeah,
and you start to kind of talk to them, and there's a lot of like mindset stuff that the leaders themselves or their teams or organizations haven't quite adopted or adapted to yet. And so it's like, hey, you need to like spend time changing like the paradigm, right? Um, I do a lot of these like sort of training sessions and things with folks, and one of the big ones I talk about is this. Are you familiar with the like high agency mindset?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this the great meme that kind of encapsulates it. You show these two pictures. One is a picture of a person that's kind of like marooned on an island, and they take like boards from their broken boat and they spell out help,
Yep.
right? And that's a low agency person because you're like help. I'm here.
Yeah.
The other person takes the boards and fashions a
A
raft
raft
and
and
gets
takes
on
off.
it and takes off, right? Like, it's like
Exactly.
you and, like, that's a high agency person
Yeah.
because 'cause they're like, "I don't know, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the tools I got, I'm gonna figure out how to do it." And, that's the thing that is, I think, a lot of times, the hardest thing is, like, equipping like, if you have a bunch of people that are hired that are, like, low agency mindset people,
Mhm.
and you're trying to say, "Hey, like, you need to use AI stuff," it's kinda like saying, like, "Hey, there's some boards on the shore, like, get off the island," and they're
Yeah.
like, I'll just make a help sign.
Yeah.
And you're like, no,
Yeah.
no, you gotta
Somebody's gonna come and help me. I'm not gonna help myself,
right,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely challenging. So another question. What does AI native actually mean in business beyond buying tools? What does that mean?
So I mean, I think it goes to the mindset thing that we were just talking about. If people's first response is to just go to the spreadsheet or go to their email or go to whatever their sort of natural
Yep.
inclination is, that's not an AI native AI first sort of mindset. Um, I, I don't know if you remember when Amazon first came out, like whatever, 20 years ago
Oh
now.
yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Yeah. And I don't know if you ever had this phenomenon. This happened a lot where you get in the car, you go to the store, you get some stuff off the shelf, you go to the checkout line, you're like, I probably could have bought this on Amazon. You kind of have this. There was like this moment, collective conscious where we're all like, oh man, I shouldn't have gone to the store. Well, now, 20 years later, like it's all sort of natural inclination is I'm going to go check Amazon first before I go to
Yeah,
the store. That's kind of what AI native AI first sort of mindset looks like is that your natural proclivity or natural inclination is I think AI can probably get me most of the way there. I'm going to go, try that first. And you have the tools in your tool belt, so to speak, to know how to ask the right question the right way. Uh, which tool is going to enable certain sort of outcomes, and then almost most importantly is how to structure context for AI so it gives you good outputs. So there's this said differently. If you've heard the words like prompt engineering, context engineering, for a couple years now, everyone's been all gung ho about prompt engineering, and that's still relevant.
hmm
But context engineering is actually more valuable, more important because think about this: like use our metaphor from earlier, an intern, right? Prompt engineering looks like how do I ask this question to this intern so they go do the thing that I need them to do? Context engineering is like this intern needs more information in order to do the right thing in the right way
to be successful.
to be successful,
Yeah,
right? And that's exactly the same true here. So anyway, AI native thinking and individuals are people who have an inclination to use AI first, and they have the skills like I mean know how to structure the context to get the right response or to get the right output, and that comes with time. Honestly, it comes
yeah,
with like just doing it, getting a lot of reps in, where you
yeah.
start to naturally be like, why am I making this deck right now, this PowerPoint? Like I could have Claude generate it for me.
When you're a developer and you're coding today, if you're not using AI, there's a problem,
Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
if you're not, you're never developed before, and you're using AI to code, there's a bigger problem.
Yeah, right, 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 right.
So tell me about that for you
Yeah.
in your work in your space.
Sure. So we have been using this term like AI forward engineer,
Mhm.
and it's funny. We've been trying to find people who kind of have these characteristics,
Yeah, they're
and
hard to
it
find.
is extremely hard
They're
to find.
rare, but we're gonna make more of them.
Yeah. Right.
That's what
Exactly.
we're doing. We're
Yeah. That's
doing making
right.
more of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll give you kind of like a recent example, like in the last 30 days,
Mhm,
60 days. We put out a job posting for this AI forward engineer. And
mhm.
essentially what we described was, hey, we want people who are using Cursor, using Claude Code, using these kind of coding assistants
Yep.
as like a co-pilot, like coding
Team
co-pilot.
member. It's a
Right,
team
team
member.
member, yeah.
It's my guy that I talk to whenever I need something help, and
Exactly.
I gotta validate something. I'm gonna use you.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, you probably are familiar, there's, like, agents, like
Mhm.
AI agents, and then there's like, sub-agents. What we want our team, these new team members to do is, hey, you should be orchestrating across all these agents, and they're kind of executing on different tasks and activities, and you're making sure that, to your point, the code is good, that it's connected, that's working, and da 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 da. But you're kind of like the overseer, if you
Yeah.
will, of all this stuff.
The quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And so we put out this job posting. We had over 200 applications, and we kind of shortlisted it down to call it 25, 30 people. And then we started kind of having these interviews. And it was really interesting because there are the amount of people that are like, oh, yeah, 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 I do. And you start to kind of like peel back the onion a little bit and you start asking like more technical, tactical questions.
Mhm.
Like, how are they doing it? And when are they doing it? And where, like, when are you using this versus that? And you start to pretty quickly be like, you are not actually doing this. Like, you're just using vanilla, like,
Well, it's like the person who says, "Oh, I'm using AI."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's like, they're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I've got, GitHub Copilot."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Well, you're okay, but, like, have you" you know, you're like, "Do you have any custom agency you've created? Are you" how are you connecting it to this? Are you
Yeah.
using things like
You're opening
CodeRabbit?
up the cover and digging a little
Right,
deeper.
you're like,
Yeah.
"Are you using CodeRabbit to do automated pull requests?" And they're like, well, where I'm at now, we're not allowed, we can't." And you're like, "Oh, okay, this is not."
Yeah.
And so to give people credit though, I do think there's a lot of companies who've like
Boxed them in.
boxed them in and
Yeah.
say you can't touch any of these tools because they're
Yep.
afraid.
I can give a
And
good story around that one.
oh, I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that so then you got these folks who are kind of like, honestly, they're handcuffed to this kind of legacy mindset that's impeding their ability to go use the new tools and
Yeah.
technology. But what we found in order to kind of suss out and find these people is we get them all the way through the kind of like interviewing process, and then we do a paid project, and we do
We do the same thing.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do paid project where we kind of say, hey, like, do these things, and we care more about like they demo it to us, and we want them to like talk about how they did it, and they actually have to do like a Loom video of what their
Yeah,
process was.
articulate it. Yeah, you gotta be able
Yeah,
to articulate your code
exactly.
and what you did and why and what your thought
Mhm,
process was.
exactly.
Yep.
And if in that, as we see them do it, we can tell that like they're not actually using a more kind of like AI forward approach.
Yeah.
It's like a no go for us.
Yeah, yeah. It's immediately off the list.
Yeah, it's like, ah, sorry. And
Yeah.
anyway, so we combed that 200 list down to one, and then
Wow.
we got that one person. We brought him on. We kind of have been, our talent model has been this like concentric circles where we're like slowly getting people into like, okay, you're made, you're
Yeah, yeah.
made, right?
Yeah.
Like part of the mafia or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but this person did a 2 week stint with us, and after the 2 week stint, I was talking to my director of AI engineering. I was like, we were having a conversation like, yeah, it's just not it. Like 2 weeks later,
Wow.
and it's like a lot of process to get to
Oh, all
that
that
point.
work to get to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're
That's
still
unfortunate.
figuring
That's
it out
unfortunate.
because there are a lot of, I think it's so, we're really only a couple years into this
Yeah.
wave. And so there's still a lot of people that they talk the talk, they don't walk the walk.
Yeah.
And vetting to get to those people is hard.
Yeah.
So I think what you all do, where you're educating and empowering, equipping people, like we need more of that.
Yeah.
And I think frankly, companies are gonna have to invest in, you're probably not gonna be able to find this talent. You're gonna have to build this talent
Yeah.
and to take the people that you have and equip them to be this,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
AI
Gotta shape them and make
native.
them.
Yeah,
And more
exactly.
more companies need to invest in that apprenticeship programs that do that.
I think over the next couple of years, there's gonna be this like big boom
Yeah.
of uh, individuals and companies and so on that are investing in this
Yeah.
area because it really is like we're going through like equivalent of industrial revolution
Oh, yeah.
sized
Big time.
shift in the workforce,
Yeah.
right? And so there's a whole reskill, upskill.
I know it too well. And for those listening, we need funding to help us do that. So thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
So yeah, we know it, but there, people, companies need to be able to be part of that, right? And it needs to be a kind of a collaborative effort where we'll put some money in, they'll put some money in. We're all going to kind of put money in a bucket, and whether the government contributes or not, but it needs to happen
Yep.
so that we can get these people who are out there who are very talented.
Yep.
They just don't know where to start,
Yeah.
right? So, which roles are quietly gaining power? Because we're on this topic of roles,
Mhm.
and which are quietly losing leverage?
Interesting. So I think a lot of roles are kind of like collapsing right now. there's a lot to be said of the broader your capability set, the more valuable you are. Like
Mhm.
said differently, there's this is the age of the generalist, I think. And I think that's
Yeah.
because generalists can help connect the dots. People, you have like the ability to kind of pull things together and pull people together.
Yeah, I love
Those
that.
folks are going to be extremely valuable and needed as we move forward. I think that folks who are very just like tactically executed on things like project management and admin and those kinds of things are going to really struggle. And I
Yeah.
think, frankly, already are struggling. Like, the job market, if you kind of watch the trend line, the trend is executives are like, well, why do I need this when I have this, Copilot does all the meeting scheduling and stuff for me now? Or why do I need this when I can, sign up for Superhuman and it does all my emails?
Yeah.
Why do I need executive assistant? Why do I need project manager? Which there is not just to be clear, like I think there's value in people who can connect dots, and I call it like the grease and glue
Yeah.
people, right? Like super valuable. But I think it's like if folks are just sort of like uh, traditional admin task management kind of stuff, it's going to get really difficult.
Yeah.
I also think that folks, so prior to starting StealthX, I worked for a larger consultancy, and one of the reasons why I jumped ship was I saw that knowledge management, there's a tidal wave of AI coming for knowledge workers, and it's a whole lot less about like your what you know now, right? So like classic management consulting, there's here we're going to map out your process and we're going to analyze your stuff. We're going to do it. You have business analysts that are looking at spreadsheets and then are kind of generating reports and recommendations and like 100-page slide decks that sort of say, hey, which what you should do and whatever. I think that like all these big consultancies are getting rocked right now
Yeah.
because you're like, well, we don't really need as many of these like entry level analysts to come and kind of analyze our
Yeah, and
stuff.
unfortunately, the lower level positions are getting cut,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so now what do? Right?
Yeah. Right.
Where do I start? Right?
Right.
These young kids coming out of college, where do I
Yep.
start? So we have an upskill program that we focus on addressing that because that conversation just said about having just one skill is you can't, right? You got to
Hmm.
have exposure to all. You have to really and those come in that those people who that know the business, they know all the aspects. Maybe they were an entrepreneur,
Yep.
maybe they came in early in the business or
Yep.
whatever, so they understand every moving part. Those are the valuable people,
Hmm.
right? Because they've taken the time to understand. And there's one model that Microsoft does with their they have a program called Mock Hire,
Cool.
and what they do is they bring people in and they put them in a bunch of different opportunities. Like you get to pick one and then you get exposure to them all. Right. But you pick one and you spend some time there. You can move around.
Yeah.
So what it does for those people coming in, it kind of gives them this awareness of what opportunities are there and where they
Yeah.
might
Like what's
fit best.
available
Right.
to, yeah.
Yeah. And where they might have some strengths and kind of, find their
Yeah.
place. Right. And I think we have to do more of those type of opportunities for people so that they can get that exposure and
Hmm.
understanding. So our upskill program, which our not-for-profit does, that program is really for people who are kind of lost, don't know what they want to do,
Yeah.
and it gives them exposure to a bunch of stuff. So we're doing prompt engineering, all those all the stuff related to AI and how to use AI. They're learning how to do administration with Office 365. They're learning how to do business automation with workflow and those drag and drop type tool sets like
Yep.
Zapier and Power Apps and Power Automate and Power BI and all those power things that Microsoft sells. But they're getting exposure and marketing
Yeah.
and Google Analytics and all of these aspects of it and video creation, so they can kind of get a taste of it all and see how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people do this, but they don't know how it fits with this, right?
Right. Right.
So if and then they do a group project and they have to take all those things and kind of come together and produce this conceptual business that uses all that stuff.
Yep.
So now they can see, and so when they go to, and then they do a 4-week work experience for a company, which we don't charge for. So if you ever want somebody to come in for 4 weeks and do some stuff like that, let me know. We'll bring somebody in
Yeah.
for you. But it's really a great opportunity because it gives them this exposure and opportunity to kind of see what's out there. Because
Sure.
many times people just don't know
Yep.
what's out there. What can I do?
Yep.
And because these entry level positions are kind of not being available anymore because AI is replacing them, we have to start building that capability of that
Mhm.
broader skill set and understanding application of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally agree. I
yeah,
think one of the things that we say a lot, what we focused on is like speed to market, speed to value.
yeah,
I think in the age of AI, it's going to be so important that the work that you're doing has to create value
yeah,
and like measurable.
business value.
business value,
Yeah, yeah,
which a lot of roles for a long time, like arguably it was so disconnected from business value, but it was
yeah,
sort of like, well, you just have to do this because it's sort of like this derivative
yeah.
thing. And so a lot of folks I've talked to, they're like, what should I tell my kid to learn, or what should I
That's a tough
right?
question.
And I'm like, oh man, there's a lot. But
It is hard to answer.
yeah, the big thing that I've kind of suggested, I'm like, look, critical thinking, right? Like
Yeah,
that's like do
yeah,
that, and
yeah,
then also like help give them enough life and work experience where they can kind of understand where the value creation lies, and then
yeah.
focus on that.
Yeah.
You know?
And teaching them how to see what's coming,
Yeah,
right? And look for the opportunity and listen for the
yeah,
opportunity. I teach that to my kids all the time. It's like, exposure gives you that chance to kind of see what's going on here
yeah,
and where you might plug in,
yeah.
right?
Right.
And so young adults need to learn how to do that, right? We
Yeah.
need to build that into them
Hmm.
so they understand that, this, hey, this is a cool opportunity, but am I thinking where it's going to go?
Right. What's around the corner?
Is
Yeah.
AI gonna replace it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And is that a good place for me to be now? And then where am I gonna go next?
Yep.
Because it's okay too, sometimes we have to pick a journey, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And then ride it until it but
Yeah.
you have to be forward thinking.
Yep.
You gotta be thinking about, "Okay, I'm in this journey right now, and I
Yeah.
know it's gonna lead me to something else. Am I just being complacent and not paying attention? Because
Yeah.
those are the people who are gonna be out of jobs, right?
Yeah.
See that all the time. I remember talking to a young student years ago who was into, artistic stuff. She loved art, and
Yep.
this was a time where graphic arts was just kinda getting its
Yep.
space, right? So parents told her, "Oh, you can't make a living at that." And she said that to me, and I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. Right.
Go to graphic art school.
Yeah.
You'll do amazing. You'll
Yeah.
love it. You'll do what you love
Yeah.
and you'll learn to apply it in business.
Yeah.
And she did. And she's now running her own business. It's amazing.
That's
But
cool.
but sometimes parents give advice because they don't know what they don't know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and now you misdirect somebody, right?
Yeah.
So I think exposure and experience to people because not everybody's parents are in IT like we are,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Well, and it's funny you said something. I started my career in graphic design,
Yeah.
and to the whole point you made around kind of like seeing around the corners. Um, Probably 4 or 5 years in, I kind of looked out and I saw like, okay, I think I probably need to pivot to like UX, user experience design, because of websites and apps and all these sort of like different software things were starting to become more and more common. And I was like, I don't know if graphic design, like if in the days of old, right? There you typesetting. Literally, you're like setting the type
Yeah.
before you print something,
Yeah.
and you're doing things like letterpress and all these sort of different manual creation of graphics, right? Newspapers and things.
Yeah.
And they used to teach that in schools. I mean, still you can still take it if you want to kind of go down this like niche path, but
Yeah.
those things aren't as relevant anymore. And this really this like nothing new under the sun, right? Like every era there is some like shedding of jobs that were at one point very valuable, very relevant, very critical, but they became something new. And it's
Yeah.
like
They've evolved.
right. And I love your, point on resilience. Like everybody has to kind of be resilient and willing to change. I don't know if have you read, I'm sure you have, the Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh yeah, it's a great
Such a
story.
great dude. Such a great
It's a simple
allegory.
story, but it's great. Yes.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
love it. My son introduced it to me and he introduced it to his kids. I love it.
Yeah, it's a perfect allegory because it's like,
Yeah.
like the simple story is you've got two people, two mice.
Yep.
Every day they go and they run the maze to find cheese. And like eventually they find it and the people are like, "Oh, build houses here. We'll live here. The cheese will just continue to come." Right? And eventually the cheese disappears and the mice are ready and they go run back on the maze to go find cheese and the people, I think their names are Hem and Haw, and they're hemming and hawing because the cheese moved. Who, why, and the amount of people right now that are hemming and hawing because the cheese moved. It's like, hey,
Oh,
look,
they are.
like
They are.
you gotta just go back in the maze, man. Like you
Yeah.
gotta, like I don't know what else to tell you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
So
gotta build resilience.
yeah,
It's really
exactly.
a building resilience and changing the mindset and listening to the story you're telling yourself and questioning it.
Yeah,
It's starting to question what your brain is telling you
yeah, right.
and how can you reframe the conversation to move yourself forward.
Exactly.
It's really it's interesting stuff and interesting times.
Yeah.
So, what resilience habits do you see in teams that adapt well, especially
Mm,
under ambiguity and speed?
Great question. I think right now in AI land, the place we find
Yeah,
ourselves
yeah.
in,
I
the
love that AI land.
yeah, yeah. It's like we've been invaded by aliens,
Yes,
right?
it is. It's definitely invaded us.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the things I've seen that have worked really, really well is creating dedicated time and space every week or every other week for kind of a show and tell. Like, how are you using the tools? What are you doing?
Oh,
What are
I
you
love that.
experimenting with? Right. And you basically create this muscle in the team for experimentation.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, because really right now, like, no, there is no rule book right now. We're in the Wild West.
Yeah,
Everybody's
we are
figuring it
Wild
out.
West. Yep.
Right. And so, in my opinion, that one of the best ways for people to be able to learn and grow in a safe environment is be able to say, hey, this dedicated time and space, like, we're just going to learn together. We're
Yeah.
going to I want you to bring whatever tools and tactics you're trying out, and I want you to like share and show and tell. If it works, great. If it doesn't, no worries. Like, this is safe. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to be afraid that you're going to get reprimanded for not doing something a certain way. And but that just takes a little bit of boldness and courage on the leader's side to say, we're going to make the intentional investment every week or every other week or every month to create a place where people have like a sandbox where they can play,
Yeah.
right? And
Love it.
I
Like
think
hackathons. It's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hackathon. There's a lot of different like methods for way you can
Yeah.
do this, but um, and I think for me, one of the and I'm sure
I'm
you
gonna use
agree.
that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people they overcomplicate it. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we got to go do all these things, and like
No, keep it
honestly, just
simple.
like
Yeah.
people learn by doing, right? Like, if you look at the science behind like how our brains learn,
Yeah.
it's like I forget the ratios exactly, but it's basically like the most information that you internalize and kind of like remember is when you do it and
Yeah.
when you teach other people how to do it.
Yeah.
The least is when someone just like talks at you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then like reading it and listening to it is like a little bit further.
Application is what makes it sticky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
the more that you can kind of say, hey, look, like, together today, as an example, we're going to build a custom GPT. And like, everyone's going to, you're like, get up your computer and we're going to literally, each one of you is going to use AI to create a prompt that you're going to put into a GPT. Or, if you're a Google shop, you may be a Gem, right? Gemini,
Yep.
or it might be a Claude skill, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you actually like make people take the hour to like build that.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is like people are gonna be like, oh, it's not doing what and then you can go over and you can kind of help and coach and mentor them through it,
Yeah.
right? And then what's funny is once you start doing this and people start to build that habit, suddenly like you'll see the growth curve go exponential because it'll be like, oh, this person just made like 25 agents
Oh yeah.
for themselves, and that's like solving all these problems. And you didn't have to like, it wasn't some big initiative, it wasn't some big like program, it was organic through the organization. People are just naturally creating solutions to their problems that then they can share and
Yeah.
show to each
They get kind
other.
of bragging rights to show people what they're doing, and it's impacting the
Exactly.
business.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just a win-win.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Those, I think, frankly, those are the things that build resilient teams. Like, have you read that book, Culture Code or Culture Playbook by
No.
Daniel Coyle?
No.
You should check those out. Really
Okay.
good books. But
Definitely.
eh,
Good book recommendation.
yeah, good book recommendation. Yeah. It's a great book. The Culture Code's like the long version. The playbook is kind of like gives you more tactical, practical things. But it's not AI anything. It's purely like, how do you build strong teams?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love in the book is they talk about there's three ways to build a team. There's the all-star model, the professional model, and the culture model. All-star model is like you have the best top tier talent that you could possibly get, right? And professional model is like you got the best experts, right, in the room. You've got all the sort of best educated, so on and so forth. Culture is uh, people who are like value alignment, like their values are aligned, their mindsets are aligned, and they're like all kind of marching towards the same North Star.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 times culture model wins,
Yeah.
like, because you can have the most knowledgeable experts and talented people in the world, but if they're not aligned around the value system, it's not going to move the needle. And so I think a big thing that organizations are going to have to really, frankly, like grapple with in the next year or two is like, are you an organization that actually cares about innovation and adopting and leveraging these capabilities or not?
Yeah.
And if you're not, you're probably gonna get left behind. You will definitely get behind. And if you are, then you really need to make time and space and make these like sort of habits where those values can be kind of infused in the organization organically.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's one thing to be like, AI is a business priority. It's a totally different thing to actually be like embed it in
In
the
the culture,
culture,
in the
right?
culture, it
Exactly.
needs to, and so for our we're a social enterprise, so I run a for-profit and not-for-profit that really does the same things.
Yeah.
It's all about training and getting people jobs, and so, when we look at our hiring process, we're always looking for culture fit first.
Mhm.
You know, do you care about what we do?
Yeah.
Because if you don't care about what we do, you're not gonna fit
Yeah,
here.
it's like, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not gonna fit here because we
Yeah.
are very culture focused, and it's all about our customers who are the people we're training. That's our first priority.
Yep.
Are they getting, what they need from us? Are we being
Mhm.
supportive of them? And doing everything we can to create these neurodiverse learning experiences for anybody
Yeah.
coming in. So
Yeah.
that's really important. I'll share my latest book that I'm reading right now is Brene Brown.
Yeah.
It's Dare to Lead,
Yep.
and
Love
I
that book.
love that book.
So good.
I love the whole, Rumble and Paint. I've been using that
Yeah.
quite a bit
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah, yeah. So good. I
Yeah.
love her podcast too.
Yes, me
She's
too.
phenomenal.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. All right, so we're gonna do a lightning round here, kind of
Okay.
wrap things up.
All right.
And it's gonna be just quick off the top of your head, fast and fun. One role that will grow.
Where we'll go. Growth strategists.
Ooh, interesting. One role that will shrink.
Project managers.
One AI habit everyone should adopt weekly.
Um, that's a, ooh, I'm trying to think of which one habit. I would say for starters, if you're whatever LLM you're using, whether it's Claude, GPT, Gemini, Grok, Llama, whatever, um, just force yourself to use it every day. Step one. Once you've done that, then you can start using the custom GPT, gem skills, those things built for a very discrete sort of thing the things that you do every day, like a repeatable, constant thing that's annoying, and just build an agent that does that one task for you.
Where do you go to do that? To learn that?
Um, there's a lot of different places, but I would say, like, honestly, YouTube is a great source of inspiration. You can just
Any
honestly,
particular YouTuber that you'd recommend to people?
uh, I so I'm a startup founder, and so I pay a lot of attention to other founders' content. So for me, I listen to a guy named Greg Eisenberg. I love one of the things you said at the beginning of the podcast was like you want to make this practical.
Yeah,
He is extremely pragmatic and practical, and one of the things that he does a really good job of is he says he gives away the sauce, the
yeah.
secret
I
sauce,
love that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he does a good job of showing you like here's how you can use Claude to make this very specific thing that's going to solve this problem for yourself, and then kind of walks you through. And he brings on guests to the show and whatnot. So that's one example. To be honest, back to the hands-on thing, like you just got to do it. Like I
Yeah.
think people just
Just
have to
do it.
kind
The
of
Nike
play.
logo. Just do it.
Yeah, just play with it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
All right. Okay. One tool category you think is overhyped.
ooh, there are a lot of GPT wrappers out there, and I think they're all going to get crushed. Basically,
Mm.
to kind of like put it in a little finer detail, uh, there's a lot of like think of like Chat GPT for and XYZ, right? It's only a matter of time for the big model providers just like make that possible, and all these companies are going to get destroyed.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah.
One thing you're testing right now in your own workflow.
Um, we are doing a lot where we're building like different agents and different platforms. So we're using a platform called Retool. We're using a platform called Nkeep. We're also using others like LangGraph. So a lot of it is like more sophisticated agent building that we're building for ourselves and for our clients. And we're also so we're a bit of a kind of a venture studio slash kind of service provider.
Mhm.
So we're incubating our own products and like we're
Cool.
building a lot of like we're really trying to like challenge ourselves to build our own stuff
Yeah.
AI native first, and then also kind of take that learning to our clients. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice. Okay. All right. So, closing question for you, Drew.
sure.
If someone listening feels behind, what are the first three steps they can take this week to become AI ready without getting lost?
Good question. Um, I would, if you're not paying for Claude, Gemini, or GPT, get one of those, 20, $30 a month. Um, once you've done that, I'll just go with GPT because it's the one that I think everybody is most familiar with. There's a thing called connectors, and basically you can connect it to your email, your calendar, your Google Drive, your SharePoint, whatever. And then there's this really cool thing called company knowledge. and you basically can ask questions about your information, which is extremely valuable. Every time I show people, like I screen share when I'm in meetings, I'll be like, "Look at this," and I show them that they can just like turn it on and now ask questions, natural language questions about like, for example, like we use HubSpot as our CRM, so we have HubSpot connected to ChatGPT, so I can go in and I can have it do a deep research or analyze our sales pipeline, and then tell me for the last 30 days, where did deals get stuck? Why did they get stuck? What happened? What do we need to do about it? And it'll give me a whole game plan, which would have taken an analyst like a week or
Yeah,
two
I know, I
before.
love that.
And all you got to do is just have a paid subscription, $30 a month, and just connect it to your thing.
What
And
about privacy? People, because I don't want like I don't want my stuff going out there.
yeah, so if you have a pro or business plan,
Yeah,
like it doesn't train on your data.
yeah.
I know a lot of folks get kind of worried about
That's
it.
why I wanted you to say it because I know
Yeah.
this too, but it's like people I get it all the time. It's like, oh, they're all paranoid, right?
Yeah. They're like, "Oh no, they're gonna take our stuff."
Yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like, "No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's
Oh, my stuff's gonna go out there on the internet, and
right."
everybody's gonna have it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
there's some like really simple like if
yeah,
you go into the settings, you just turn it off, don't train on my data and it's
yeah,
you're
yeah.
good.
So
So,
that's an important step. Don't
yes.
train on my data.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So we're going to close up here with a resilience message that you can utilize and practice here starting now. So this is a little bit of this is out of my book. It's called The Stress Container. And so it's about micro stresses are like drops in a container. One or two aren't a problem, but enough of them and you hit the spill point. So snapping at someone you love, maybe shutting down in a meeting or bursting into tears over something small. This exercise helps you see the container before it overflows. So you basically pen and paper, you just draw a container on a blank page, draw a simple container, it could be a cup, a jar, a beaker, and label it. My emotional capacity today, and this is about today. Mark a line at the top of and label it spill point. And then you're going to list today's stressors in there. Inside the container, you're going to put, all the things that are kind of stressing you out. They could be examples of you're not sleeping enough, you got crazy traffic you're commuting with, you got a sharp email that today, or your money worries, uncertainty about your job, maybe caregiving load. I always like this one because there's so many people out there today caring for those with dementia and Alzheimer's, and those people I worry about most because they've got a huge load on them. That those that are doing caregiving, so that may be in your list. Skipped lunch, not eating properly, you're not getting your exercise in. Maybe you had a dismissed comment and you just feel, those are the things you want to write down. You're going to check your level. You're going to look at the container and ask yourself, is it manageable, nearly full, or overflowing? And then you're going to check off 1 to 3 items in that list of things that you basically said are, or that are really kind of things that you think you might be able to resolve today. Okay. And you might want to have some release strategies. What could you do with what kind of strategies could you apply to those 1 to 3 items in there in your container? Rest, sleeping, micro break, screen break. Screen breaks are really important. Conversation, an honest check in with somebody, safe. A boundary. This is one people really miss, saying no, renegotiating. Maybe, your boss is asking you to do something and you can't do it all, but you want to renegotiate and think about what you could do. It's a good approach. Postpone, delegate. Some people are just not good delegators, right? Managers, leaders that take all of this stuff on themselves. Movement is my favorite. Walking, stretching, even just to get up for a walk in between conference calls. Yoga, my favorite, and breath work. Journaling, this is another one people don't realize how important it is. It's therapeutic. Name the story you're telling yourself, write it down, and then read it later. And then support is the most important one. Who could you reach out to? Who could you, talk to? A trusted leader, maybe it's HR, a mentor, a therapist. Let's not have shame around that. Therapists are important to everybody, and everybody should have one. And or a coach. Maybe you've got a coach that you're working with. That's another thing that you can use. So these are all tips that you can use to assign a release strategy. And then you're going to basically look at choosing one item that you can kind of drain to open up today. Circle one release strategy and act on that within 24 hours. That one choice is how you keep the micro stresses from becoming macro chaos in your life. So that's our resilience tip for the day and activity. Thank you, Drew, for being with us
Yeah,
today. This
thanks for
was
having me.
great. Loved the conversation. This was phenomenal for our first podcast. So thanks for being part of this
Yeah.
first event. You can learn more about Drew by visiting his website, stealthx.co. If this conversation was valuable, please follow both Drew and I on social media and visit the website again, stealthx.co or nebulaacademy.com. And if you want to help support training members who are, community members who are unemployed or underemployed, please make a donation to We Connect the Dots, our nonprofit. Our next episode is on resilience is a muscle. We'll be hearing from Steve Palmer from Indigo Road Hospitality Group. So I look forward to talking to you and seeing you then. Thank you. That's a wrap on this one. Thanks for being here. It means more than you know. If you know someone who could gain value from a more positive mindset, share this with them. Or better yet, model it for them. Be the domino that starts the resilience revolution we all need to move forward. Remember, every comeback started with a setback, and resilience is a muscle you build one rep at a time. I'll catch you on the next episode.